Just want to welcome all you guys who are tuning in to this interview. Um, my name's Jomo. If you don't know, I'm in the solar industry and I'm looking to interview individuals out there who have decided to go solar because I want to get the message out there and share with people that maybe are a little hesitant to go solar, why it in many cases is a really good option. So I invited Vicki right now, who's on live with me, to share her story about going solar, so that she can kind of fill you in on what it's like, and how her life has been different as a result of solar. So Vicki, if you want to share, where you started, why you decided to go solar. I know you went solar. Was it 7 or 8 years ago?
Right. I can't remember exactly myself. I know it was on Earth Day, and every now and then a Facebook memory will pop up and tell me how long ago it was.
Okay.
But yeah, I a local friend of mine, her husband and friend had started a business together, and they were installing solar panels, and that was back when there were a lot of rebates from the power companies, as well as rebates from the government. And at the time, we went ahead and we chose to buy them. They have the option, and I think they still do today, where you can lease them, and you get a reduction of like 10%, and you don't have to come up with all the money up front.
Mhm.
Well, I had pushed the numbers around, and it made sense to do it, and it made sense to buy it. And so we did this isn't financial advice for anybody, but we took out a loan against his retirement plan at work so that we could come up with the money up front. I think it was like $25,000, and our payment was like $400 a month or something for 5 years or whatever. But I've calculated it out, and after probably about 6 years, our electric bill back then was about, I think our budget billing was maybe $125 a month or so, and we needed 25 solar panels, and they installed it. My bill every month since then has been like less than $6, because there's like a connection fee to be connected to the grid.
Mhm.
And once a year I get a check for the excess amount that I haven't used, which uh, it's only been about $60 or $70. So now I don't worry so much about being hot in the summer. If I have a hot flash, I'm gonna crank the air conditioner down and be comfortable. And I still get like a $14 check, like one every year from the electric company. So I'm sure it paid for itself. I don't know what my electric bill would be right now in the house,
Mhm.
but I'm sure it would be more than 125.
Yeah. So it's been consistently like $6 every month. You don't have an
Yeah,
electric bill.
no, I do not have an electric bill. I only pay to be connected to the grid.
That's
So,
incredible.
yeah.
So okay, so you figured out. I think you mentioned in one of the comment threads that I had on my Facebook about what your payback period was. So how long did it take for the savings to add up to that 25,000?
Well, going into it, I calculated about 6 years, and that was based at the $125 a
Mm-hmm.
month. And that was, and we got a lot of rebates back. I know. And the income tax rebates are over like a 5 year period of time or something like that. So I didn't, and I don't know exactly what my electric bill would be now, but I'm sure it was at least a 5 or 6 year time that it was paid back, and it came in the form of actual rebates. I think we got like 14,000 right off the bat back.
Wow.
And
You're in
yeah,
Colorado, right?
yep. And then
Okay, so
from
they have
there,
like
it
they have
was
some pretty significant
very,
rebates in place, or at least they
yeah,
did when you got it.
I think I fit. I figured out that, with all the tax rebates and everything, if I'm remembering my figures correctly, and I'm pretty sure I am, it was going to be like $3,000 net after we're said and done. We just had to go through that
Wow.
5-year period of we had to make the payments to pay back that loan and all that. So, but
Wow.
it was so well worth it.
So are you saying that it was a $25,000 system and you only had to pay 3 grand for it?
Right, after all and tax savings. And I don't know what the tax savings are right now, but back then, I mean, when the guys that were installing it, when they explained it to me, it was a no-brainer. It's like, all right, we're going solar, and I
Mhm.
haven't had any issues with it. The guys are not in business anymore. I told you that, through messages. So I do not have a solar maintenance person now should something go wrong. So
Mhm.
that is something that I am interested in finding out more about. I mean, not I don't want to put it out there to make that happen, but
Yeah. So have you had
I
any issues as far as,
know.
because I know a lot of times people have questions like, do we need to like maintain the solar panels? Have you
Well,
had,
yeah, I was told that I should get them washed, and I still haven't done that.
okay, so
Um,
you haven't done anything to them
haven't
since they've
done
been up.
anything.
Wow.
And we do have I have an online dashboard. I can go in and I can see how it's producing, and if any panels aren't producing. And every now and then some will be blacked out. But whenever I asked about it in the past, they told me, "Oh, don't worry about it. They're working. It's just a thing and that's in the computer, whatever." And it'll show, like, on a cloudy day, it'll show that it's not generating as much electricity. I can go in there when I want to and look and see them working.
Hmm. So you have like the monitoring in place, and you never
Mhm.
get to a point where you are producing more than you actually, or you're producing, um
Well, yeah, I do produce more than I use because I get that check back every year. It's not much, but
yeah,
I get it.
I was asking the other side of the coin where it's, are you do you ever need more electricity than what your solar is producing basically?
Mm, no, no, because
No.
the
So you
bills
you
only.
just like, I guess you like monitor it to make sure that you're not overproducing, or I mean I guess you already know like
I
what
don't
your
monitor at all. I don't
what your
monitor.
average usage is, and you just stick to that kind of thing.
Just see that the bill's $6,
Yeah.
and I get a check in February. So, and
Yeah,
that
that's
just that
incredible.
every year since we've installed it. So,
Yeah. So when you found out that it was only gonna cost you 3,000, like that pretty much took you over the fence, right? Like what other hesitations did you have before you decided to go solar?
I didn't have any. My husband had hesitations at the time. He did because it was an awful lot of money to spend, and he didn't know that I really knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't have any hesitations at all, and I we fought over it, and I said, I don't care what you do. I said, sign the damn papers. We're putting in solar because it
Yeah.
was his retirement. And so, well, and I told him I would use mine if he didn't use his, that I was putting solar in no matter what. So,
Gotcha.
and
Yeah.
he has passed away now, so he is not reaping the benefits of the solar,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry to
I
hear
am.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So okay, it was so it was a pretty much a no-brainer for you. And then as far as the rebates and incentives go, not every state I know has those types of incentives. I
Right.
do
And I
know
don't
that.
think they're as lucrative as they were in the beginning either.
Right, right. So I do know there are a lot of incentives. It varies from state to state, but as far as the 30% tax credit, that's still good until the end of this year. And at this point, they haven't changed the fact that it's actually going to go from 30% to 26%. So for anyone watching, if you want to go solar, now's a pretty good time for those tax rebates. And then I guess, are there any other things that came up for you since you've had solar that you think, people who are considering going solar would be interested in hearing about? Any kind of like milestones or things that happened?
It's like you don't even know it. I mean, you don't even everything. You flip the light switch and the lights come on, and and if the power's out, they don't come on. But when it's restored, they come back on. I mean, it's you don't even notice the difference. Okay, there is something that surprised the hell out of me, us, the first year when it snowed, and we had a lot of snow, and it was like 3 or 4 days afterwards, and all of a sudden we had an avalanche of snow come off of our roof, and it squashed our iron table, our patio table, shattered the glass.
Wow.
It bent the chairs. I mean, it came down all at once. Like if somebody would have been standing out there,
Hmm.
they may have been killed. It was bad, and so I warn people when it snows not to go out the back door because you never know when and sitting in the living room you can hear it slide off the roof, and I have windows that I have high windows, and you can just watch the snow slide past.
Yeah. How
So
long
you
do you how
will
long does it usually take for the snow to actually slide down after a big snowfall?
It just depends on how warm it is afterward. So
Hmm.
it usually goes on for a couple days. It usually takes a day or two depending on temperature, and it goes on for a couple days depending on temperature.
Mm.
But that one day, I don't remember how much snow we had. Probably over a foot, and it was stacked on top. It all fell at once, and we couldn't believe it. It just demolished the table.
Hmm.
So that
Yeah.
that's a good story.
So that's a lesson for anyone out there. Make sure that you don't have things right below the solar panels off the roof.
Exactly. Put your patio furniture away.
Hmm. Yeah.
We had to buy a new one, and I do have pictures of that too because I posted those on Facebook too.
Wow. But as far as the production, did you notice much of a difference in the production of the solar panels while the snow's on? Because I know that's a concern that people have, is like, what about if it
Yeah,
snows?
yeah. Well, like I said, when you can go in and you can look at the chart, and on cloudy days, which we don't have too many cloudy days in Colorado,
Hmm.
but on the snowy days, it would block production, and you could go on and see in the charts that they were blacked out that day. But I had enough. That's probably why they do it on a rolling annual basis. I had generated enough throughout the year that it held me through.
Okay, so you had like a credit that was then used for those days when it was snowy.
Yep, I'd get a check at the end of the year. Well, I'd get a check at the end of the year for whatever excess, and,
Hmm.
and I've heard that it's only like 90 cents or 10 cents on the dollar that they pay you versus what they charge you for electricity. So it's
Hmm.
not, like I said, it's not much, but they do send me a credit
That's great.
every year. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think you've shared a lot, and I appreciate you coming on to share your story, Vicki. If
Sure.
anyone tuning in right now has any other questions for Vicki or about solar in general, feel free to put them in the comments below this video. Also, if you guys are interested in going solar, you can either reach out to Vicki or myself, and we'll point you in the right direction to get a really good deal on a solar system. So that's also an option for anyone tuning in right now who is thinking of going solar themselves. So with that being said, thanks so much for coming on, Vicki, and I hope that your solar journey continues amazingly.